So this is the Illustrator how-to project. For most of you, you started this last year or did the thing but weren't happy with it necessarily. Here's your chance to revise it and make it stronger. For those of you who are choosing to do this lesson and haven't done it, I've got a ton of support that's in place. So you've got quite a bit to do, but it's totally doable. You've got a stronger Illustrator skill set now than I believe you had last year. So let's take a look at this. So the way that this is set up, it's going to be an 8.5 by 11-inch document that can be landscape or portrait. You're going to do this exclusively in Illustrator, and the artwork needs to be original. It needs to be something that you've created. So for example, here's one from the college. The key thing that they're looking for is some detailed major illustration. So instead of having a whole bunch of smaller illustrations, they're looking for something that's much more the focal point. They also are looking to make sure that you have something that's interesting with the title. This one's a little more bland, but I do like the hierarchy that's set up. And then the steps should be relatively short. It's 3 to 5 steps with limited text information, but 2 hierarchy levels, meaning you've got one for the step name and then a smaller one for the actual information about the step. So here's one from a student from last year. This is beautiful. Absolutely amazing. Really well done. Very interesting style. Lots of steps, clear, easy to read. Yeah, amazing. Here's another one, a little bit simpler one. Could have gone in a bit more detail with the illustrations, but overall, relatively easy to read. Same kind of thing here. So one strong central focal point for the imagery, and then the steps are clear and easy to read. Here's another one. The majority of this work was not so much the text, but getting this camera to look really well done. So let's skip over that one. Here's one from my class last year. Really well done with the making the title interesting, having a strong focal point, and then all of the graphics and colors worked really well together. When you look at it closer up, you can see a lot of the detail work that went into the individual objects and then just repeat it over and over again. Really nice use of shadow, and the simple addition of the wooden spoon was a nice touch. Here's another example of one. You can see it's really less focused on the volume of text. I think some of my students and some of the push that I've had in the past has been very focused on making it functional and less on the illustration. And what I've been told is the illustration should be much more of a dominant factor in here. So see, the steps I was told are a little too long. So we'd want to shrink that down. But the illustrations, the comments on these they were really solid. So you can kind of see. So it's not necessarily a full step-by-step following like a recipe. It's more short bits of information like that. Very interesting style. Simple illustrations, but the combination of all of those little details is what helps. The text is a little hard to read. The font that's being used is a little tricky to read on that one. I would probably want to modify that a bit. These are from last semester, and I don't know why it's saying Woodgrove Bank on the side there. Interesting. I just noticed that. So these are ones from last semester, so first year students. Some of the things that I really like with this is the detail of the honeycomb that's happening all the way through the background. Some of the contrast on the color here is a little tricky, and then maybe playing around more with including maybe more of the bees and stuff, I think would definitely help. And then kind of pushing some of the topography a little bit more. It gets a little bunched up into these sides, but overall, pretty solid. Same kind of thing here. This is one that they spent a lot more time doing a lot of the detail pieces to add into this. So you see it's really way less text, and this one's got a ton of information. Really nice design from last semester. Good information on the phone. The text actually works. It's a little long in the text, but I think it's really functional. Same kind of thing here. Nice details. Would have liked to seen a bit more detail in the sesame seeds and make it not feel as flat And I think that might just be with some additional color and stuff. The shadow makes it feel like it's actually a thick piece of bread, but I think she was trying to go for something where there was a little bit of a shadow, a little less text. Really nice illustration here. A nice deconstruction of an old style phone. I think that worked really well. And I like the work that she did on the title over here. Little bit trickier. I really think there should be like a color or something that's set up there. Another one from last semester. Very solid, very cute. Another one as well. Don't know why that's there. So the key part is you're looking at a headline. You really want to make sure that you've got a good, strong headline and the dominant image. This dominant image should really showcase your Illustrator skills. And if you're not feeling confident in some of your illustration skills, I'm going to show you here what you can do. So this is the rubric that the college will end up using if you're looking to get the college credit. Because remember, you have to, if you're going to go for the college credit, you have to have the how-to is required. So this is how they'll be going through and looking at whether or not you've hit the requirements. Let me show you on the class website here. This is, I have the demo here. Doesn't have all of the examples that I use because I just added those in, but it has a good portion of them so you can take a look. So these are the steps that you're going to go through. You're going to do the planning sheet. You're going to do some title variations, and I've made a template for you. You're going to do some how-to step variations. Again, it's about going through the process of making a variety of different things. This is all to help you build something that's strong. I've got a template there. You get your layout variations. I've got a template that's there. And then how to actually set up your poster. I've got a video here, and then how to export out just a single artboard. As far as the resources that you can use, here's a link to a whole bunch of text effect tutorials that would work great for a headline. Wouldn't be so great for the steps themselves, but for a headline, if you really want to spruce up your headline, you could follow any of these tutorials, use your own main word that you're trying to do for the how-to, and that would look pretty amazing. I also have included some stuff I did last semester with the first year students on different styles of design. So this one is what I called the fantasy style. So it's not quite like the flat characters that you did, but this is a little bit more detailed. So for example, right here, come on. All right, doesn't seem to want to load, so I'll click on this. My internet's going a tad bit slow right now. I'm not sure why it's taking so long, but there we go. So these are step-by-step tutorials that you may not necessarily follow to add into your how-to poster, but it will introduce you to some techniques that might be a little bit more interesting than building it just straight from scratch. So you can kind of see different styles. Same kind of thing here. In this realistic design, I've got several different tutorials that are set up. And again, I'm not looking for you to follow the tutorial and just slap that into the how-to and use this as like how to fry an egg. That's not really the point. Or how to make a pizza. That, again, is not really the point. But some of the techniques that are in here might actually be useful and give you an idea for something. If you choose to draw something completely from scratch, you might consider looking at these. This is a very simple tutorial, but really useful to apply to any shape that you create on how using just 3 colors, a base color, a highlight, and a shadow, will be able to create the illusion of something being 3-dimensional. And then if you're looking to do something that's a little bit more realistic, I kind of touched on it a little bit, but we didn't get really heavily into the tutorials on how to use this thing called a gradient mesh. It's a way to create almost a 3D feel and add colors to these individual points to create a photorealistic gradient. Really, really cool. So you're going to have the entire week to work on this. If you already have created your own, you can start with that as a basis and then just kind of watch through some of these things. You don't have to necessarily do every single one of these steps if you've already started and you're just making revisions to your existing one. But if you're doing a new one, I'd recommend trust my process, going through and making these variations in your titles, making the variations in your steps and the layout is really, really helpful. A lot of you have already told me that just by doing the business cards, even though it's tricky, having all those variations has made your final design much stronger. So I appreciate that feedback. That is what you're working on. At the end, I'll explain the screencast. I haven't recorded how to do the final submission for the screencast and where to submit, but you'll be giving me the Illustrator file and a JPEG version and a short reflective piece on the screencast.